In this next step, we are going to look at the denture. What we need to do to the denture, because flanges like this are no good when we are doing hybrid models because of the hygiene aspect. So in order for me to change that, I'm going to decide to take the model designer and cut the teeth out of the denture. So select it, shift right click to place your cursor and arch cutting tool. And then we're going to extrude this all the way across. Fuse it to the other side, trim it, select the vertices and click on clean, and then make a model out of it. So the lower base. Now the idea is to cut a new base for this denture. This one we don't need. I'm going to hide it away. Great. Now in order to make a new base, the simplicity of this mesh is no good. This is why we're going to remesh it. You can voxel remesh it, although voxel remesh will lose a bit of quality of the topography of the model. Therefore, I'm going to go into the wax up module to use the other remesh structure. Make sure that you select your model, go to the resolution, and I'm going to be setting say 3. The lower you go, the coarser it is. The higher you go, the finer it becomes. Sculpt remesh. This is going to give us a preview of what this mesh is going to look like, and we're going to then apply that. Then I'm going to go to the next menu and I'm going to click on Edit Mode. Notice that this edit mode is not transparent, but if you go into wireframe mode, we get to see through this mesh, and this is what I want to do. I want to be able to see through it. Here we're going to make sure that the snap magnet tool is on and the proportional editing tool is on. And then we're going to take the proportional editing with my mouse wheel, and we're going to reset where we would like the denture to be on the fitting surface of the model. Over here I'm going to just drag it a little bit further to the palatal side like this, to make sure that I'm covering the implants. Of course, we don't want it to be too high there, because otherwise it's going to have a food trap. So this is a very important step so that we can get a good hygienic hybrid. Notice that these implants are a little bit higher, which means that we can have food traps in there, and we're going to have to deal with those later on. Now please make sure that all of your mesh is inside the model. I'm going to go snap magnet tool off, use the G key. This is important because the model is going to be a cutting tool. Okay, we're going to go back into object mode, and this is how we want it to be. Next step is we're going to smooth it down a little bit, and then we're going to cut it with the model. So click on the smoothing tool over here, sculpt, toggle, and smooth it down. We will still get an opportunity to smooth it a little bit later, and then exit. Next step is we're going to cut it with a model. In the wax up, go to the cutting tools. Now this is our object being cut. and the other one is an object making the cut. Make sure it does indeed cut. You can see that in transparent mode to make sure that it's cut, and then click on apply. Then what we're going to do is we're going to select it, Control I and hide, and we're going to start smoothing this down. As it is, it's no good to connect to the abutments. Click on smooth with mask protection. However, we're going to be removing the mask protection. Mask, remove clear mask. Right click, expand it a little bit, and now do a good job in smoothing it down and preparing to make this your adaptable surface for your hybrid. Over here we can select how much we'd like to do the resolution. Find yourself one of these boxes. Let's make that a little bit coarser and more aggressive, as you can see. Make sure to get rid of all of the concave areas, like over here. Okay, now that you are done, you're going to exit smoothing. We can change the color because it is a little bit at this stage it's okay. We're still working in PLY, so this is why it is the way it is. We can go to texture mode over here like that. Next thing is we know that we've got the tissue adaptation correct, and we're going to commence in doing the next step, which would be attaching these to the implant abutments. This is a crucial step. Next, I'm going to focus on the occlusion. I'm going to unhide the model that is the antagonist. Now we did have two antagonist models, but the other one is completely out of occlusion, the one with the bite block. So this is definitely not the one that we want to be using, as you can see here. So this has been, the bite is a little bit incorrect. I would much rather prefer to use this one, unless we leave the bite as it is, which we can also do, but we had aligned this according to the lower model, which belongs to this model over here. So this is exactly what I want to focus on. We can see it is a little bit out of occlusion, and we can change this. This is easy done. Tab to enter edit mode, go to the transparent, use the C key, and we're going to take a whole lot of vertices like that, and then make sure proportional editing on magnet tool is off, and I'm going to use the G key, and we're going to move this a little bit higher into occlusion like this, something like that. And I can do the same over here. I'm going to stretch this up just a little bit like this. And then based on that, we're going to cut the occlusion as well. Here we have extremely heavy occlusion, as we can see, and we don't want that. Now we can go into the articulator module to be able to do the occlusion correctly. Now this shouldn't take too long to do. This is the upper, and this one becomes our lower. We're not going to use the mounting plates or anything. We're going to bring in the condyles straight away. I'm going to hide this one here, that we only have these on the scene, and we're going to set up these condyles and the occlusion for it. Alright, so in articulation, we can already see this is moving. We don't have to move the model. Basically, we only want to cut the occlusion of our denture. Alright, so we may want to set this a little bit further. This is quite easy done. So in the constraints, we're going to edit this one, which we don't actually need to do. This is eccentric. We're going to edit the protrusive, and as you can see, we are protruding. I'm going to put this backwards a little bit, and we are quite heavy over here. Okay, so we're going to maybe close it up just a little bit like that, and we're going to apply that. Then we're going to go to the excursive edit, and again we are quite heavy over here. So this is okay. We're going to trim that as well, and we're going to edit the other side, and here we are completely open. I'm going to just set this down a little bit like that, and we're going to apply that. This becomes our object that's is doing the cutting. So upper tools, this is an object making the cut, and this will be the object that's going to be, you need to set the offset, and this is the object that's being cut over here, and then trim it, cut all movements, and just wait for it. Now delete the object that's made the cut, and we are finished with the articulator. So delete animation, delete everything. Okay, now if we look at it, we've got it quite heavily trimmed. We can smooth that down as well. So go into the model designer. There's always a reliable smoothing option here. You can make it a little bit finer, maybe on 6, and we'll just give this a quick smooth down like that. So now we know that the articulation is correct. This is a good time now to attach this hybrid to our implant abutments. I'm going to hide the model, and we're going to expose our implant interfaces. So have a look at where they are. Here we go. We need to select one after the other. This part we don't need. Go to the crown module, go down to the implant crowns, and then click on this one over here. Select abutment and make a tube in the Z direction. Apply that. These are done individually, one after the other. Give your hybrid one final inspection. Make sure this is how you want to connect it. Now, please keep in mind that this is 0.6 millimeters thick, but we'd like to make it a little bit thicker because when we make our eye-bar later on, we don't have much space. So I'm going to go into edit mode. We can pull this, or we can inflate that as well. So we can pull it like we did earlier. Here, pull. This is one option to do it. You just click on pull by 0.5 millimeters, select and pull it. And you can pull it another time, a few times, or you can inflate it with protection as well, but we don't really need protection at this stage, so you can remove the protection or you can leave it like it. Here I'm going to inflate it quite a bit more to make sure that we have enough space later on for our hybrid, our eye bar. and we're going to give it a smoothing as well. Select your hybrid and then click on Generate Implant Fixture and wait for the process to finish. Inspect it. Granted, here we could have inflated it a little bit more. I'm going to go back a step and we're going to give it a little bit more thickness and wall strength in this location. And repeat the process. Inspect your mesh, Ctrl-I-H to hide, and we can see we've got a few traps. We don't like that, so we're going to be sculpting those down a little bit. Save your file as you go. So generally speaking, these are not such a good idea, and also when we're making a hybrid eye-bar, that can just interfere in everything. So just spend a bit of time to smooth down these areas. Lastly, we're going to be making the screw holes. In transparent mode, move them upwards. Do not forget about this step. And save the file as you go as well. Here I'd like to just point to the fact that we're going to do a little bit more smoothing, and this is so that we get a nice screw hole exit or entry. Like here, for example, we just like to smooth around this area that we get a beautiful mesh geometry. Select your hybrid and then make the screw holes. And this is the result. You can see how nicely the screw holes have been made according to the surface of the tooth.